I hate you so much.
Is that wrong?
I've always known as Polybius.
Oh.
Wait, what did you say?
Polybius.
Polybius.
Like the I is like a Y.
I thought you were just being smug.
No.
When have you ever been smug to me?
Yeah, that's that. I've been smug to you before. News to me.
So that's just how I talk.
Let me open up my drink before.
Into the mic, please.
Sorry.
Why do we bring him?
I don't know. Who the fuck invited this guy?
It's like
It was literally my idea.
yeah,
But
that's true.
Yeah. Poor choice.
I've made a ton of them.
I'm gonna.
I remember I walked into the office today and Adrian said, "God, my ass hurts." And I was like, "Why?" And he go, "What'd you say?" It was
Well, yeah, I spent like all day yesterday chasing down these like sweaty, muscular men who kept pounding into each other.
What?
he was recording a football game, is what he was doing.
Ah.
And with that, hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cracking Open a Cryptid. That splashed right in my fucking face and across the table.
I didn't expect that to have like
velocity.
That was like the most metal sound. Like there was no drink in that sound. It was just like clink.
These are a weird beverage that my girlfriend and I like. They're Seagram's Escapes. They taste delicious.
Seagrams. That sounds like one of those old timey like.
So good.
It sounds like something I could probably get like in a bar in the Caribbean. Like,
well, you'll be happy to know I have one for you later today. It's called Jamaican Me Happy.
Awesome.
This one's a blueberry acai lemonade. I know that makes me sound like a fruit, but
Acai.
fucking make me a fruit salad, baby.
Jesus. Well, that's gonna get cut out.
Absolutely not. We're leaving it all in. Also, I'm Tyler Shively.
Wow. I'm Adrian Castro.
And I'm Jeremy Savage Tate.
And welcome back to whatever this piece of shit is. How you guys doing today? Yeah. I mean, that about describes, I think, everybody's feelings lately.
Yeah.
I will reiterate. My ass hurts.
I'll hurt a lot more later, bud. What are you drinking over there, Adrian?
I am drinking. Don't act like you don't know, you bitch.
Fucking, it's for the show.
I
God
know.
damn it. Have a little pageantry. Jesus.
I'm drinking an Angry Orchard hard cider.
Oh my God, I love Angry Orchard.
Crisp apple.
Dude, okay, so Angry Orchard, they have this pack of like special flavors. There's like the regular one. There's a green apple crisp one, which is lovely. There's one that I don't remember because, I mean, like, if I don't remember what it is, it probably couldn't have been that good. But then there's one where it's an Angry Orchard rosé.
I've had those.
It made me want to die.
Really?
It was disgusting.
I loved that one.
We got a pack and there was like 4 of each flavor. I took my girlfriend took a sip of one and was like, "Oh, I hate that." I was like, "Can't be that bad." I took a sip and we poured them out.
That's just a waste. You could have just called me.
Dude, I didn't realize.
I will drink anything that has alcohol.
You are a real dump truck, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And he's got a dump truck too.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So moving right along.
Before you do that though, you just reminded me at some point during, it was right out of high school, right after I turned 21. Me and my friends were really new to drinking, but we all have a favorite beer, same favorite beer.
Oh, I need you to be 100% with me.
What's up?
Was this actually right after you turned 21 or was this allegedly before you were 21?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember.
Of course you don't.
But I was driving at the time. Well, no, I started driving when I was like 16.
So here's a story about alcohol and me driving.
I didn't drive this day.
Okay.
But like we had the same favorite beer, which was Blue Moon. Okay, yeah, it was after I turned 21 because I remember I went to the gas station and they were all out of 12 packs of Blue Moon. But they did have one pack of Blue Moon that was in stock. But it wasn't your regular, like...
It wasn't your average Blue Moon.
It wasn't your average Blue Moon.
It was like a spin-off moon?
So it was Blue Moon.
It was like a harvest moon?
That day
I read...
It's a great game that I've never played.
Shame on you.
I know.
Stardew Valley poser.
I know. But they had it's Blue Moon, but different flavors.
Okay.
But it's not like apple Blue Moon. It's not like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's Blue Moon or chata flavored.
Oh, that sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Sorry, what is it?
Or chata flavored Blue Moon.
I don't know that.
Explain
You don't
to
know what
explain
horchata
to the
is?
other white boy. I know because I'm friends with you, but he's a tried and true white boy.
I'll simplify it so that we can get on with it.
I mean, last time we had to talk about what a beef Wellington was, so...
That's true. That's true.
That's a great point.
I also didn't know what shepherd's pie was until like 2 years ago. So,
Dude, I had a shepherd's pie the other day, and it was not very good.
hell, I didn't even know what scalloped potatoes were until he explained it to me like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, Jeremy's getting some fucking potatoes or something." I don't know why he's late. I was like, "Oh hell yeah, he's making scalloped potatoes."
Yeah, I don't fucking know. So horchata, for those of you who don't know, is it's a Mexican beverage, and it's pretty much sugared rice water.
Yeah.
Isn't that just sake?
No?
Sake is very alcoholic and very not sugar water. It is just rice beer, basically.
Yeah. No, horchata it's just like it's literally just
It's
sugared water.
like children drink.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, what are we talking about today?
Oh yeah. So today, if we can finally get to the fucking episode, is our first episode that is about what I like to call an anomalous object, which is basically like an inanimate cryptid. Just like an item that may or may not have existed that has all kind of conspiracy rotating around it.
I thought this one did.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about the arcade cabinet known as Polybius. Have you guys heard of Polybius?
This one I actually have.
Really? Okay.
The only reason I know that is because Rocket Jump did a TV show, and one of the episodes literally centers around this.
Oh, okay. Shit.
And I was like, oh, wow, that's such a cool idea. And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, this is an urban legend. This episode is less of a cool idea.
Well, don't worry. It's going to become even less of a cool idea by the end of this.
Throw it at me. I can tell you right now, by the way, I don't believe in this. I don't know what. You don't even have to start.
It's probably not.
I feel like we can open every episode with cracking open a can of whatever, saying, "Hi, welcome back to Crack Open a Cryptid," and Jeremy going like, "Hi, I'm Jeremy Savage Shane. I don't believe you."
There are some where it's like, oh yeah, I can kind of see that. This one, it's like it has magic in it. It's like, oh yeah, no, you lost me.
Well, I have not seen that episode that Rocket Jump put out, but there's not really magic in it as much as there is seizures. Just lots of seizures.
I mean, there's a Pokemon episode that had a lot of seizures.
Well, okay.
And that one's not real either. Just saying now.
Yeah, well, the Porygon episode is real, but the thing that's not real is the Lavender Town theme giving kids seizures. There's a lot of really that would be a fun episode for me to research, just weird Pokemon urban legends.
Wait, so the Pokemon episode didn't give people seizures?
No, it did.
No, okay.
Okay.
It gave children who had epilepsy seizures.
Yeah.
Very few across Japan. But there's another urban legend in Pokemon that in the original game, when you go to Lavender Town, where the Pokemon graveyard is, that the Lavender Town theme song was giving people seizures because it had a spectrogram, I think is the term.
I don't
Like it's audio, but it makes a message.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of
like
how
the audio waves would form a picture if I looked at
Yes,
them?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
well, not the audio waves itself, but like the what is the spectrum? The audio spectrum
which
or something?
I think the term is spectrogram.
Yeah.
But yeah, there actually is a spectrogram in the Lavender Town theme song, but it's a ghastly. It's nothing like crazy, but people are saying like, if you listen to the song, 200 children in Japan got seizures from this.
I love how we changed the present past tense there. We're like, if you listen to the song, 200 kids in Japan get Caesars. Get Caesars, the salad.
Dude, I'll listen to that song right now. Caesar salads rule. But no, yeah, the Porygon episode did exist, but the only children got seizures from it were children with pre-existing conditions.
One I didn't know.
Yeah, the Lavender Town one is all bullshit. Plus, Lavender Town has a great theme song, if you ask me. But Polybius. So it was an arcade cabinet, meaning it was just like one of the machines that you see in an arcade. And it popped up in 1981, allegedly, in Portland, Oregon. This all takes place in Portland, by the way.
Okay.
So it allegedly showed up in 81, but rumors on the internet started cropping up in the year 2000. There was a website that does not exist anymore. I tried to get to it, called coinop.org, which acted as like an internet museum as a database for arcade games. Kind of a cool idea, but it's defunct now. It's not around. But I actually have an image here of the real posting that showed up on February 6th in the year 2000. And they had the section where they would ask people, hey, do you have any copies or cabinets of this game so we can like put it in? And it says, game summary, we need information. Game details. This game had a very limited release, 1 or 2 backwater arcades in the suburbs of Portland. The history of this game is cloudy. There were all kinds of strange stories about how kids who played it got amnesia afterwards and couldn't remember their name or where they lived.
What?
Right off the bat. Huh?
Okay.
Continuing, the bizarre rumors about this game...
How did they know they played the game? Right. Oh, sorry.
No, but right?
It's like, did you play this game? I can't remember. Oh my God, I probably must did.
Have. I mean, this was the 80s, so it's like...
They're all on coke anyway. The children too, everybody. Yeah. The bizarre rumors about this game are that it was supposedly developed by some kind of weird military tech offshoot group, used some kind of proprietary behavior modification algorithms designed for the CIA or something. That's verbatim. Kids who played it woke up at night screaming, having horrible nightmares. Now, about what, I can't tell you, because how would they remember if they played the game? And how would they be sleeping at home if they forgot how to get home after playing it?
Well, it was a timed delay.
According to an operator who ran an arcade with one of these games, guys in black coats would come to collect, quote, records, unquote, from the machines. They're not interested in quarters or anything. They just collected information about how the game was played. The game was weird looking, kind of abstract, fast action with some puzzle elements. The kids who played it stopped playing games entirely. One of them became a big anti-video game crusader or something.
What do you mean there's something?
Dude, he says there's something like 3 times in this pitch.
I don't know. Maybe it was real.
Knows?
Who fucking yeah.
But that is totally the vibe of like, who fucking knows? We've contacted one person who met him, the guy who's the big video game or anti-video game crusader or something. We've contacted one person who met him, and he claims the machine disappeared after a month or so, and no one ever heard about them again until a ROM showed up. Do you guys know what a ROM is?
It's a remote operating disk. No, remote operating machine.
Is that what that stands for?
It might, yeah.
It's basically it's the code that makes the game run, and if you download a ROM and play it with an emulator, you can play a game like on a PC without owning the console, which is not illegal. But downloading games illegally is. But who cares? We all were in high school.
Hold on. Just to clarify, I could have been totally wrong about that. If someone wants to correct me, go ahead.
No,
I mean, I believed you.
Yeah, everything comes out of your mouth is true fact. Yeah. We all know this.
I do believe that that is something. That is what it kind of like that's the gist of what it would stand for. But
wait, so somebody found a ROM of this thing?
I guess, but he doesn't really talk about the ROM much anymore. It continues and says, "Here's what we found so far. 1. Found English strings for insert coin and press 1 player start and only." Those are all in quotes. Looks like a 1 or 2 player game. And then 2, text in the game says copyright 1981 Scheinenschlossen, and they say maybe a German company. So that's the stuff that they found in the ROM, which doesn't really make sense because a ROM should be able to play the full game. How he would only be able to pull string code out of it makes no fucking sense to me.
Yeah.
Unless it's like an incomplete ROM, but what?
That makes no sense.
This is a little bit more of a question, like a technical question, but I don't fully understand. Was the ROM something that would have already been in the machine, or is it like they have like burned it to a CD and
it would have originally been on the machine and then a copy of it would be burned and then sent out.
Interesting.
Like I have FBI, stop listening. I have I can boot up Pokemon Soul Silver on this tablet I'm using, and that's an emulator running a ROM.
Yeah.
If anyone has heard any additional information about this game, we'd appreciate hearing about it. Quick update, this was an edit. We just wanted to go on record here that Stephen Roach is full of himself and knows nothing about this game. We have it on good authority. No, Polybius is not a Tempest prototype. No, Polybius is not a vector game. Does the title screen look vector? No, it does not. We've recently received some new information about the game, today being May 16th, 2009. And yes, one of us is flying to Kiev, Ukraine area tomorrow. They spelled Kiev wrong, by the way.
What if they just went to the wrong Kiev?
Tomorrow. And yes, the trip is related to this information. Stay tuned. So that was an update that was posted 9 years after the initial update.
What year would that have been?
The update or the post was in 2000. This was in 2009.
Well, then,
So this is 9 years later that this got posted, and it just seems like someone going on a fucking rant about Stephen Roach, which later comes. It's not really super important, but
when they say vector game, what do they mean?
so vector games were early games that tried to emulate 3D by having lines, like you know how you draw a cube.
Yeah.
That's that would be how a vector game would make a cube look. It wouldn't be actual 3D. It would be lines in 2D meant to look like 3D. It's not mode 7 like how Star Fox did, but that is based on the same stuff. Like, have you ever seen footage of the Virtual Boy?
No. Although, I mean, isn't that...
Well, isn't it? What's the one? It's a classic game. Orange dude who like hops up. Qbert.
Yeah, Qbert.
Isn't it pretty much like a Qbert type scenario?
Qbert himself is not vector based, but the design
But the map
looks like a vector game. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, have you ever played the game Tempest?
No, I mean, I get what you're saying when you
yeah.
say... I was like, isn't that a lot of games, though?
Adrian, did you just like punch your microphone?
No, I pulled down really hard on my on my headphones.
I'm just so fucking tired of listening to this vector bullshit. Go back to the story.
So this post was eventually tracked down to being uploaded by one Kurt Kohler, who was the owner of the website. Various comments on this and updates to other posts about Polybius describes the game very vaguely, ranging from basic graphics to full-on vector-based visuals. So some people are saying like, oh yeah, I've seen Polybius, but it wasn't vector-based. And then other people are like, you're a fucking idiot. It was vector-based. But nobody had like proof of it like existing. But so many people seem to have played it, or at least seen it. And I looked really hard to find a genuine, actual description of the gameplay. Because we know it's vector-based graphics, sure. Well, kind of. But what did you fucking do in the game? And I couldn't find anything.
Puzzle elements.
But what does that mean?
Maybe this is one of those like Berenstein Bears types of things.
Yeah, like a Mandela Effect thing. Yeah.
Maybe this is just the Mandela Effect, and like a ton of people actually did play the game. But
it
like,
is a lot more sinister.
Really?
Yes. This gets fucking weird.
I was going to add on to that, but no, continue.
So speaking of much more sinister, I am about to give you guys a very inadequate and extremely quick description of the MK Ultra program.
Oh, I've played that game.
No, you've not.
Yeah. MK3 Ultra.
No. Nope. So I take it you don't know what MK Ultra was?
It's Ultra MK3.
You're thinking Mortal Kombat.
Ultimate MK3.
He's making a Mortal Kombat joke.
I've played Mortal Kombat.
Sure.
Mortal Kombat 9, so...
Was that one of the good ones? I don't remember.
It's one of the great ones.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Good for you, bud.
Yeah.
But
I've also played Mortal Kombat 10.
But have you played 11, though?
No.
Yeah, what other Mortal Kombat games have you played?
Yeah. Well, I haven't played this shitty MK whatever, you know?
So I'm going to take it you guys don't know what Project MK Ultra was.
The name sounds familiar. I know it's a government program, but I don't know what it did.
So let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
World War II.
Oh.
Was this them selling drugs to black people?
No, but that it was a related program.
Okay.
After World War II ended, the United States recruited a bunch of Nazi scientists to the United States through something called Operation Paperclip. There's so much more to talk about Paperclip, but we're not going to talk about it. This very quick, inadequate description. The Nazi scientists were given new identities and new names and brought to the U.S. and given like full protection from world governments if they did science for the United States of America.
Like Werner von Braun.
Sure.
He's the guy who founded NASA.
Oh, yeah. There's a joke about like NASA is just a bunch of Nazis.
Or like Albert Einstein.
No, Einstein actually came. He was fleeing the Nazis.
Oh.
He was not part of Ultra.
He was Jewish.
He was Jewish. He wasn't part of Paperclip.
I didn't know that.
Paperclip were a bunch of like the fucked up ones.
I mean, like for the most part, the idea was like the Nazis had been making missiles, and they were like, "Yo,
rocket science.
You guys make missiles. You want to put a motherfucker in that and shoot that on the moon?" And they were like, "Are we gonna go to jail?" And they're like, "Not if we shoot a motherfucker on the moon."
That is weirdly accurate.
Wow.
So one of the projects that these groups of Nazis were doing for the United States, other than launching a motherfucker to the moon, was Project MK Ultra. Now, MK, just for reference here, I forget what that literally stands for, but it just means
Mortal Kombat.
It just means that this was scientists producing tech and processes to be used in espionage. That's what like the MK moniker means.
Oh, okay.
And so this was just Ultra. It was MK Ultra. Was the big one. It was designed to achieve brainwashing and mind control. The first step of it is they tried to build these machines. They utilized flashing colors, disorientation, and audio and sensory confusion to try to like trick the brain into being brainwashed. Those didn't work.
They're trying to trick the brain into being brainwashed?
Yes, I know. That's a weird sentence, right?
Wait,
but that's what they were doing.
They're like, you're not actually brainwashed, but everything you do is now under my control.
Yes, because the person would potentially know that they're being brainwashed, but they wouldn't be able to control it. So you would be able to control them, but they would be conscious of it.
Wait, does this have anything to do with that one? Who was it? Was it the Coen Brothers movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats?
I actually have not seen that movie.
Yeah,
but that like
it sounds like something out of it.
There were so many projects during this era by Nazi scientists that would blow your fucking brains. Like, it is ridiculous. There was one project, just a quick aside, because this one I love. It was Project Pigeon. So, can you guess what Project Pigeon is?
Was it the one?
Wrong.
All right.
What they were doing is they had warheads with actual explosive payloads, like missiles, but instead of guiding it by like putting in coordinates and saying like GPS locate here, basically, they were like, what if we put a pigeon in it, right? And the pigeon was looking at a screen, and we train these pigeons to always peck the target. And so if it went off course, the screen would move, and the pigeon would start pecking at the target, which would tell the missile to course correct. And so we used the pigeons to guide the missiles. And you know what? It kind of worked.
It's funny because I wasn't going to guess that, but I did kind of know that was a...
Well, my favorite part about Project Pigeon is it was disbanded because electronic positioning devices were invented and proven to work really, really well. And they're like, guess we don't need the fucking pigeons anymore.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like how... And, well, man, we're really skipping off of Polybius for a second, but...
But come on.
The Manhattan Project took over the initial idea, which was to strap a bunch of bombs to bats and have them fly.
Yeah, Project Firebomb, I think.
They were just like, all right, so what we need is everyone to get a bat, we put a bomb on it, and then we just throw these bats at the Japanese.
Yeah, because the bats would fly under the pagoda roofs to hang there, and then they would
detonate.
They would detonate, yeah, and it would be fire paper, and they would just burn everything down.
Yeah, so they were gonna, but they were like, this is gonna. By the way, it was suggested by like Roosevelt's dentist or something like that.
Yeah,
and we listened to him.
Yeah,
I really want to.
Imagine being like, oh, my idea's about to happen, and they'll be like, yeah. So we're gonna have to cancel it because some guy just
fissile material.
This guy just like split one of those tiny boys, and now
now everything's fucked.
Yeah.
So going back to MK Ultra here, the machines didn't really work. They would fuck people up, but they wouldn't mind control them. So they were like, machines aren't working. You know what would work? Drugs. Lots of them. It's the 80s.
Oh, they were giving people LSD.
Well, LSD, but specifically they were mixing uppers and downers to.
So were the pimps in Bed-Stuy. Like,
but they were doing it a lot, and it wasn't just like taking LSD; it was injecting it like into their brain, and it was fucked up. And what's kind of weird is that one almost worked. Like, genuinely, it worked on some people, and it didn't work on others because you would break down their psyche and rebuild it. And they would mix together the drug treatment and the machine treatment, and that sci-fi like weird idea of sleeper cell agents came from this because they kind of achieved sleeper cells almost. They did all kinds of other fucked up shit with this program, which is a whole episode on its own. MK Ultra is a deep, deep hole of fucked up stuff. Now, this was put on by the CIA, except it wasn't CIA. They were the OSS at the time. So they never got punished because when they got caught doing this, they disbanded and reformed as the CIA. So in the trial, they were like, well, you did this. And they went, no. The OSS did that. We are but the CIA. One of the things with it, too, is they put LSD in the water of mental patients, like in asylums, without telling anyone. Completely illegal.
Yeah.
And another hang up in the case, it was something like they were saying, oh, well, the CIA, and they went, the OSS. Okay, the OSS drugged these people without willing consent for 3 months. And they went, well, now that doesn't make any fucking sense to me, because they only drugged them for 90 days.
Yeah, that checks out.
Okay, but here's the thing, though.
Yeah?
That's only, at minimum, like 4 days off.
Exactly. But they never got punished for this, ever. And there was a bunch of other fucked up shit they were doing at the time. They were doing it on mental patients. They were doing it to United States soldiers without consent. There was something called Project Seafoam, where they sprayed a bacteria off the coast of San Francisco and then tracked the spread of the bacteria, because they were like, if that was like a poisonous bacteria, all of San Francisco would be dead, and no one caught us. Horrible shit they were doing for all this. But returning back to Polybius, finally,
Right.
When this arcade cabinet supposedly showed up in these Portland arcades, within the span of 1 week, many children in the area did fall ill after playing games at arcades around town. So the first one would be Brian Morrow, who attempted to set the world record for time spent playing the game Asteroids, and he collapsed at the machine at hour 28. I will give the caveat that all he had to drink the whole time was Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I think he was dehydrated.
Yeah.
Jeff Daly died to a heart attack while chasing the world record in a game called Berserk. Peter Burkowski had the same reason, a heart attack, playing the same game 1 week later. And then Michael Lopez was a man who got a migraine in the arcade, which doesn't sound as interesting, but it gets weirder later.
How old would these people have been?
All of them were children except for Michael Lopez. So, like early teens, roughly.
That's weird to have a heart attack, though.
Yes, right. That's kind of why I think a lot of this popped up, because that's really weird.
Yeah,
wait, but what does it like? Have they also played Polybius, or is there any record of them also playing?
Was it like a Harry Potter
game?
2 where Polybius was like in a mirror, like just in their visions? They're playing asteroids and they're like, oh, I feel so bad. And they look up and they're like, oh no!
So that's kind of the thing, right? This is information that we've gathered after the fact, but at the time, people only knew that these children were fucking falling sick or falling dead in these arcades, and these arcades also coincided with the ones that supposedly held Polybius cabinets. So we know what happened to them now, but during that period of time, nobody really, like, a schoolyard didn't know that this guy had a heart attack. You know what I mean? They just knew that he fell dead in the arcade, and there was this weird game that nobody knew there.
Which is an interesting question of like how, people's memories are generally not very good. How do you come back like 20 years later and go, oh man, it must have been this, or I remember that arcade having this.
Yeah. And Adrian actually mentioned earlier about the Mandela Effect with the Berenstain Bears thing. That's how you explain. For people who don't know, the Mandela Effect is this idea that people believe that our universe is crossing over with a parallel universe, and stuff goes between the two interchangeably.
Yeah,
so
like
we all
in
remember
one-
the Berenstain Bears books, but those didn't exist. Who was it?
It's
Sinbad never played whatever.
Yeah, no, it was Shaq.
Oh yeah, Shaq never. Yeah, or whatever.
No,
It's also the wrong name of the movie. It's Kazam instead of Shazam.
Yeah, and that's why the Mandela Effect is explained away by exactly what you just said. Of human memory is fragile. We fill in the blanks and then say that's fact.
You know what, like, really frustrates me about we can do an entire episode on me just complaining about the Mandela Effect. We'll be like, all right, hour 3, we'd like to go home, but
do a Mandela Effect episode.
Oh, dude, and anything to get Jeremy to complain for
it's
hours.
just it's like the Mandela Effect is just full of people saying it's far more likely that I flew into another dimension than I just forgot something.
It's infuriating,
Like,
right?
It's like, oh, can you believe this used to be this way? It's like, did it? In fact, I was reading something the other day that someone was like, guys, I think I just fell into another, like, Mandela Effect. And they were like, does anyone remember how Freddie Prinze Jr. spells his name? And I was just like...
Well, first off, who the fuck cares? How did Freddie Prinze Jr. even come up?
I think
in
Freddie Prinze Jr. cares how his name is spelled.
Well, no.
But in 2020,
His name has a Z in it. There's no. It's the Prince has a Z
God,
instead
I
of a
hate
C.
that so much.
And it was a thing of like even I looking at that went, does it? And I looked it up and go, oh yeah, his name does have a Z in it. I have always spelled Prince with a C.
because that's how the word is spelled.
That's when I read his name, I just figured it was a C.
I'm assuming Adrian is furiously looking this up right now.
You're like, holy shit!
It is a Z.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I just saw this boy pull his phone out and furiously type.
And you're like, who the fuck gives a shit about? Wow, that is fun. All right.
But yeah, no, memory is fragile, and trust me, keep that line of reasoning throughout all of this.
Oh yeah.
So beyond these children getting sick, there was also really weird shit happening in these arcades. What I'm about to read you here is real. This is actually proven real, this next bit.
Okay.
FBI agents were spotted around arcades in Portland throughout all of the 80s. They claimed that they were staking out to make drug and gambling busts, but they raided the same arcades that the children fell sick in. By using CCTV footage, they tracked players based on their high score initials. And specifically the ones they would watch are modified cabinets of the games Tempest, Scramble, and Galaxian. What they would do is they would, in broad fucking daylight, walk into an arcade, wheel a cabinet out, put it in a truck, drive it somewhere else. They would put microphones and cameras in the machines, and again, in broad daylight, just drive them back and put them back in.
I mean, how do we know they were putting the microphones and the cameras in if they left?
Because this declassified information.
No,
this is real.
This is
This
coming
is real.
from this is like government documents.
Yes, this part is real.
Okay.
Like actually real. So these weren't made and then like cabinets made and then sent in. They physically went into the arcades, took the machines out, modified them, and wheeled them back in with a very little discretion. They didn't care who was watching, which is super weird. Now, what's crazy is because they were saying they were trying to make drug busts and gambling busts. Drug busts, I understand. But gambling busts?
I mean,
Arcades do.
This is the 80s in children's arcades.
Yeah, but I mean, like, arcades might have had a, like when you go to Chuck E. Cheese and you can, like, you can hand your tickets in to, like, the counter. Depending on how fair the game is, that can read back as it's gambling if it doesn't have a skill level on it.
Okay, I'm really actually glad you gave any sort of description because I tried to find like what the fuck that meant and I couldn't find anything other than people actually were apparently, quote, modifying the cabinets to be gambling machines.
Yeah, see, so there are some arcade games that are like very technically you are gambling while playing. Like the crane game machine, you are technically gambling because the actual claw is rigged to like a percentage of how hard it's going to grab. So every time you hit the button, it actually like doesn't like a random
Like a
number
dice
generate.
roll?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And
yeah,
it will,
whoever owns the machine could choose like how many.
I knew they could change it, but I didn't know it was like a dice roll thing.
Yeah, so the thing is that you can be like, oh, I got like a perfect grab, but you will not have grabbed it because it just was too soft to actually pick it up. So you are actually gambling for that thing because it's not based on your skill.
So this was more they were trying to catch like the arcade owners
Right.
cheating children out of money, basically.
I think the way, and I could be wrong, I think the way it's set up is like there has to be a certain payout per how many for it to stop being a gambling. So like you can be as generous as you want. You can have it always be squeezing at full force.
I'm always squeezing at full force, buddy.
We always are,
Always, every day of the week.
But like there's like a government regulated like this is how much this is the amount of stuffed animals that should come out of the game every few plays. So and if you're not meeting that, then they are just gambling for these. So that
Weird. Okay, so that actually does make sense now. I could not find anything that said that.
I may have just made that all up, but
Shit, dude.
I'm pretty sure that's an actual thing.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah.
So the FBI stuff was actually happening. These children actually did fall ill from various reasons. But the most important thing is that people kept saying that it was due to Polybius, and that Polybius was a machine that the FBI was putting in. Children were playing Polybius and then getting sick. Now, all the descriptions of Polybius that we have, as vague as they are, being the vector-based graphics, the puzzle elements, so on and so forth, they all describe a game that actually exists called Tempest. Have either of you played or know what Tempest is?
It sounds so familiar.
Yeah, Google an image of it and show it to Jeremy because you might recognize it. But as you're doing that, Tempest is very, very well known for its vector-based graphics. It was the first really popular game with vector-based graphics.
Oh, I know Tempest. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, while many people at the time found it super mesmerizing to look at, others would get motion sick looking at it.
I don't remember this game, but I do know
That style.
Yeah, I know that style of it's like Galaga, but you're going into the
That's vector-based graphics.
Okay.
So I actually do know this game from my childhood because my dad would buy us like plug-and-play machines that had like a bunch of old arcade machines.
Dude, my very first PC had Tempest like installed.
Yeah. When you play Tempest, do you get sick?
Yes.
See, so do I. Ever since I was a kid, watching that game makes me like sweaty.
I can never play it for
hot, and I want to throw up.
Never play it for more than an hour.
Yeah, I can't look at it for more than like a few minutes.
I'm just sitting here waiting for one of us to accidentally give like the code word, and then we have two sleeper agents just sitting here.
Dolphin, blueberry, delta.
The white orange rolls down the hill.
Ooh, that one was close. I felt that one coming.
Yeah.
I think the hill was the wrong word. But
Yeah.
I felt it. You know.
Rolls down the stairs.
Fuck. Back to Tempest.
Yeah.
Remember Mario?
I do remember Mario.
Yeah. You know, he jumped on the turtles.
You did. I was going to say
did.
mushrooms, but you know he also
No, he ate
also-
the mushrooms.
He did both.
he jumps on mushrooms.
Well, the Goombas are the mushroom people. Sure. Have you ever read
I
that
thought
thing?
Toad were the mushroom.
Well, have you ever heard that thing that is in like the original manual for one of the early Mario games about how apparently Bowser turned the Mushroom Kingdom's denizens into the bricks? So when you jump up and break the bricks, you're like murdering citizens.
That is news to me, but
I'm pretty sure it's not that anymore, but
No,
it was
no,
one of those
no.
original things that's like
Them just trying to be like, why are there floating bricks in the air?
how does that fix the problem though?
Because Japan,
Oh no.
a giant turtle monster, turned them into floating bricks. How does that not make sense to you?
Yeah, they're like, you know the bricks in the air, everyone was jumping. Like it was National Jumping Day, and everyone got turned into bricks right as that happened. That's why some are higher than the others. It's like
Makes sense to me.
okay, yeah. Honestly, I just figured that like there was a wall, but because I was only ever seeing one like slice of the plane, that it was
Yeah, that was like in front of you, basically.
yeah.
I mean, that would make sense. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, not Mario Lopez. Michael Lopez was one of the sick gamers that we talked about from earlier. He was confirmed playing the game Tempest, the one who got like a massive migraine and got really sick afterward. Now Lopez wasn't a child. He was an adult during this, but he described the sensation as, quote, I began to feel a weird sensation in the back of my head. Then my vision started going out, little flashing lights, and suddenly I got sick and stumbled outside where I threw up all over the parking lot. One of my friends walked with me back home, but we didn't make it all the way there. My head hurt so bad, it got to where I couldn't speak. I couldn't walk anymore. I collapsed on someone's lawn, rolling and screaming in pain. It felt like my head was cracking open, and then somebody called the cops.
I love how that's what his head felt like. It felt like his head cracked open, and then someone called the cops.
Yeah.
Like those weren't separate points.
I mean, that was the quote.
Yeah.
But
I mean, how far was this arcade from his home? Like, couldn't he just walk to the hospital?
well, he probably didn't think he needed to go to the hospital because, like, it's a migraine. You know, when you get a migraine, you don't think, like, I need to go to the hospital. You just think, everybody leave me alone or else I will kill everyone in this room, including me.
Yeah, see, the thing is that, to my knowledge, your vision centers are in the back of your head. So
I believe that's correct.
So if you were getting like a lot of pain back there, it would make sense that his eyesight would start to go as well.
And a lot of those were the, like, amnesia and nausea and getting dizzy. Those were the same things that were being described about people playing Polybius.
Yeah.
It's the same symptoms.
Okay, like it's interesting because like in modern day, it's like a really good example is if you're ever doing anything in VR, I have never felt more sick than when I'm playing things in VR. Especially games where I'm like moving in space.
Yep.
But the thing is, it's like the majority of that reason is because for the last like 20 years, people have been making regular games, and they say, okay, people get sick looking at these kinds of images. Stop making them like that.
Yeah.
So for you to be like, oh, you wouldn't believe it. These really early games were making everyone with 6. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
very
they
much
had
so
no
believe
idea.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like in VR, there's a few VR games that I've bought and then like instantly returned because I would put the fucking thing on my face and I would want to throw up like immediately. I really want to love that game, Blade and Sorcery. It makes me want to vom instantaneously.
Yeah, I tried playing Phasmophobia once in VR, and it was like the entire. It's in movies where it gets really psychedelic and they are like flying through space, but they're just standing still. Like, whoa!
It really feels like that.
Yeah, that's how that felt to me. I was like, I'm standing
the
here.
one game that I've played in VR was the what was it?
Beat Saber?
No.
Oh no, Robo
wait,
Recall.
I did. Yeah, Robo Recall.
Which I don't get sick playing Robo Recall.
I did though.
That game is great, by the way. If you don't have Robo Recall and you have a VR headset, pick it up.
Yeah, but I mean, also Robo Recall, like.
Well, you're pretty much standing still for most of it.
Yeah, because you don't move, you teleport.
Yeah,
in
but
that game.
not Among Us. No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, yes.
Yeah,
That
one made me sick 20 minutes in.
That one makes me a little barfy, but I can get through it.
Do you have the padding where, like, if you're sitting like clearly in a vehicle and you're watching the vehicle move, it doesn't feel like you don't feel sick from that, but if you were like outside of that vehicle and you're moving around, you're like, oh, I'm feeling really sick now.
Yes. Well, like, just in general, I've been on like a tour bus, right? And then you walk forward on the tour bus while it's driving, and immediately my body goes, "This is wrong," which is why VR makes you sick, because your body knows you're not moving, but your eyes are telling your brain like, "No, we're moving, dog."
Yeah.
And so that's like a huge thing. Like in No Man's Sky, when you walk around, like it's barfy, but then once you get in the ship and like sit down and start flying it, no more barfy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it totally makes sense that these early games, especially with vector-based graphics, the closest thing to 3D that they had at the time, of course it's gonna make you fucking sick.
So here's a question, and maybe this is explained later, but we talked about like FBI agents / CIA agents going the suits, if you will, going in and doing stuff. Was it like a Last Starfighter situation where they were just like, let's try to find the highest score while people are really sick?
Keep that in mind, big
Okay.
guy. So before we get to that, let's talk about why Polybius is bullshit.
Okay. I will say I went into this saying this is bullshit, but
It was the very first thing he said.
It's true.
Yeah, literally, you might remember this, but I said that.
Can we run the tape back?
I don't. I'll just say this right now. I don't know what you're about to say, but this is fucking bullshit.
That was actually really impressive. You did that, I think, almost with the exact same cadence you did the first one. That's really impressive. Here, go on.
No, I would say that, like, I don't believe everything about this, but like what you have told me does kind of ring a little more true.
Yeah.
Than mainly because, okay, you've spent, like, I don't know how long we've been doing this, but you have been sitting there reading notes, and I'm watching you just scroll up these notes like constantly. And the only way any amount of notes that much has happened is if there were things that actually happened. Like with Bigfoot, it was like, all right, here's the Post-it note that we have the entire story on.
Genuinely, when Adrian first sent me the outline for Bigfoot, to myself I was thinking like, that's it, that's all he's got. Like I was kind of shit talking in my brain, but then we started talking about it. I just got mad,
dude. It's infuriating. You're gonna be pissed off about Mothman.
Oh, a sneak peek for next episode.
Yeah, it just feels like, you know something is real if there is any amount of evidence on it.
Yeah, well, that's the whole reason why conspiracy theories even exist. Like, you give them an inch, they take a mile. If there's anything slightly correct, they're like, well, everything must be correct.
Right.
If the Earth didn't rotate it the exact way that you said it did, then it has to be flat.
Yeah, and the thing is that maybe I'll do an episode on the flat Earth theory, and it'll just be full of me just pulling out PowerPoint presentations about.
Have you seen the Netflix documentary Behind the Curve?
I have, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a
documentary.
great documentary.
And my favorite thing about that is it's like every aspect of that documentary. It's like, all right, we're gonna go see what these guys are doing, and every time they do it, they're like, we just proved the Earth was round again. Come back later, and they're like, all right.
Yeah, well, especially the ones who are like, oh, we must have fucked up the experiment because that proves that it's round, but it's flat, so we must have messed up. So let's try it a different way. And it's like, you're so close to being a scientist.
Right.
You're so close.
Right.
Yeah, but I will say this Polybius thing, or Polybius, depending
Whatever.
on... I always thought it was... Because I always read the word poly inside of the word.
Yeah, and that is how it's spelled. I think the first time I ever heard it spoken, they said, like, the person talking to me said Polybius, and I was like, all right, that's how it's going to be pronounced forever.
It is interesting that even hearing you say Polybius versus Polybius, it's like there's not really that much of a change.
But there's enough to be like, what'd you say?
Yeah. Was that the...
The English language is fucking weird.
But I read it like polygon.
And that's probably
not
correct.
not polygon.
Polygon?
Yeah, polygon.
Right. So, Polybius, or... I can't even say it how you say it.
Polybius.
Polybius?
Yeah.
Polybius.
It's bullshit. Regardless how you say it, it's
Yeah.
bullshit. So remember that initial listing in the year 2000 that was posted on CoinOp that described Polybius?
Oh yeah, and it had like very passive language about
exactly. Well, it was posted by Kurt Kohler, who owns the website. And what's very weird is right after... Ooh, sorry, that's a lot of alcohol. Right after that was really gross.
I love the fact that you're like, oh, just fit it.
I didn't think there was a second one loaded up. Dude, I hate to keep going off topic. I released a burp the other day that was like, you ever have a burp that you like feel it come, but you can't like channel it, you can't get it out? I just kind of got tired of not being able to get it out, so I just opened my mouth and it was like, and Meg looks at me terrified, like some fucking eldritch horror has taken over my body, and I kind of felt like it did. It was really gross.
I love the fact that you're like, I wasn't gonna let that burp win.
Did you get it out though?
Well, that's what the eldritch noise was. It was just like my innards rumbling.
I've never had that situation. No.
I don't think anyone has, other than me, frankly. So, what's funny is Kurt Kohler, after he made that initial listing in 2000, and then his site got pretty popular, he happened to sell book and movie rights about Polybius.
Interesting. Doesn't that imply that it's not real?
I think what implies it's not real is the fact that he made a lot of fucking money off of it.
Yeah, but you can't own the rights to something that is real.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Joe Dante.
What?
So Dante?
Yeah, so apparently Joe Dante was tapped to direct it.
Oh, yeah, yes. There's been a few.
You know,
Gremlins.
Yeah, I know.
Gremlins 2.
Apparently there's going to be a Gremlins 3, yeah.
Why? So, other than Kurt Kohler clearly just being like, yo, it's fake because I sold it, the only image of the game's title screen features the name Polybius in large, color-filled capital letters. And that's actually very important how that's described.
Hang on, before you move. So I looked up Polybius, the movie, on IMDb. The second option.
Yeah, Polybius, the video game that doesn't exist, yes. That actually you can kind of see in that image. That's
the
title screen. It's not that colorful, but that is the font. Like the colors in the background aren't there.
See, I've only ever looked up Polybius maybe once or twice, and every time I bring it up, there is one, like it's the same photo of an arcade cabinet.
Yes. Is it this photo?
Interestingly enough, no.
Yeah, and that's the title screen right
Okay,
there.
so here's a very weird question, and it's a very oddly technical question, and you may not have the answer to it. Is that shade of blue possible?
I'm really glad you said that, because there's a reason why we had to talk about that. Games from that era had very, very little memory to work with, and a title screen that looked that extravagant would have eaten up all of that memory.
Yeah.
So it was possible, but like you wouldn't have a game past it. The only real company that would be able to pull something off like that, and they wouldn't do it because it would cost way too much, but only Nintendo would have been able to do that back in the day.
Because they got to 64-bit
Yes.
a lot earlier than most. The reason that what you said is correct. Like I totally believe that. But the reason why I brought that up is because the way computers handle colors, the color space being
There are only so many.
Yeah, you can only get so many. So like
It's why Mega Man was blue.
Mega Man. Oh, sorry. I was thinking Pac-Man. I was like, did I just go into the Mandela Effect? You're like, that famous game Pac-Man where he's blue and he just walks around eating pie. And I'm like, is that the game?
That's the one, yeah. No, Mega Man was blue because they ran out of colors and they're like, just fucking making the same color as the sky. I don't know.
Well, it's just because like, you know, when like if you think of like a light spectrum, the
computers back then couldn't handle like all of the in between colors. So it'd be like this color, okay, move over a bit, this color.
Yeah.
And so for it to be like, could that light blue have existed? It usually would have rounded off to either like a darker blue or like
or like nearly white.
Yeah.
Basically, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And so that's why that title screen is also a hoax, because you wouldn't have been able to do that.
Right.
But someone in the year 2000 trying to make this up, who didn't actually have knowledge of how those things worked, would have probably done something like that, because it looks enough like the Pac-Man logo. You know what I mean? Just a little different and a different word.
Right.
Also very important is Sinneschlossen, the company that apparently made it, never existed. It's not a real company. But it does roughly translate from German to, quote, sensory deprivation.
Huh.
So everything going into
Oh
this...
yeah, it's literally sensor loss.
Yes, it's literally, yes.
Yeah.
It is meant to be a hoax.
Oh.
Like, everything about it is wrapped around to be like, oh, that's a little
You remember earlier when I said that this sounded real? What a fucking idiot previous me was.
So Polybius is bullshit, right? But what it kind of shows about that era is so important. It's just way too vague and way too easily debunked to be true. But children were getting sick. That is real. Tempest was fucking people up. And I'm gonna be honest, you guys have been to arcades, right? In the before times when we were allowed to go outside.
Yeah.
Arcades are really gross.
They are.
They are gross. And you ever been to a convention, like a Comic-Con or a WonderCon or an E3 or...
Never.
I've been to WonderCon, yeah. I was really handsome there. Like,
Dude.
in comparison to everyone else, I'm like, fuck me. Like,
What did that building smell like while you were in it?
Honestly, I'm not gonna say it smelled particularly bad, because
hey,
I don't have a memory of being like, oh, this smells. It smells like
apparently
an
anime
industrial...
nerds are better than gaming nerds, because the one thing I can tell you about like PAX and MagFest and all those fucking things is nerds don't really do the hygiene thing.
Oh. I mean, to be completely honest, and like, I remember when I went to WonderCon, I had already gone to school, and I like left right after, so it's possible I just smelled awful as well. Having so maybe I just blend in.
Oh yeah.
You probably just got used to the smell.
Yeah, it's like when hunters put like deer piss on them. Yeah, you were trying to hunt the anime girls, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just
with your
shooting.
shotgun.
Yeah, I was just shooting the body pillows.
That's terrible. But yeah, I'm sure that isn't a new phenomena, right? Of nerds being gross as shit. Like, there's a reason why things like PAX Pox and Con Flu are like a concept, because when you go to one of these, you're coming back pretty fucking sick, because it's gross. It's people who don't shower, not using hand sanitizer, touching everything. Like, you're gonna get sick. So if children are getting sick in an arcade in the 80s, I believe that.
Yeah,
Like 100%. But it does point out the fact that, well, MK Ultra was actually real. It probably wasn't a part of this. Whereas a lot of people would think like, oh, this seems like one of the machines that they were testing early on. It really wasn't. There's a lot of information about MK Ultra that's been declassified or leaked, and most of the experiments were on U.S. soldiers and mental patients. They really didn't do any arcade cabinet stuff. What is actually really interesting, though, is while I was researching that, I was like, wait, what's this document? Did they actually? Turns out there's a document in like a Metal Gear game talking about MK Ultra, where you can see on one of the documents are blueprints for an arcade cabinet, and you see like POL.
Oh, wait, I remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember which one it was, but
it's 3, I think.
is it 3? Is it 3? Because isn't 3 Snake Eater? Because I played that one.
Yeah,
I
3.
remember that ladder.
Yeah.
I remember the you having to take the pill.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know about that game.
So yeah,
It's a great game.
so while that implies that this was part of the MK Ultra, it wasn't. We would know if this was MK Ultra by this point. And this is taking place in the really early 80s, right? And one episode that we could totally do is talking about how the Satanic Panic was taking off at this point.
I just learned what that was.
It
like
is
a month ago.
a fascinating era. Do you know about the Satanic
It's where
Panic?
people were like, D&D is gonna fucking
Yeah, dark dungeons
Yeah.
and like video games are gonna ruin people, and
then they made
rock
that
and roll
awful
is awful.
movie with a very young Tom Hanks.
Yep.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I want to watch that again. That's awful.
Yeah, oh man, oh god, oh man.
So the Satanic Panic was taking off, and one of the big targets of the panic were video games, and those are still lingering. Those ideas of like video games make you violent, they don't. That has been proven. Video games are going to rot your brain, they don't. That has been proven. Like, this is still lingering because the Satanic Panic needed enemies, and that was a really, really easy target. So it makes sense that people were jumping at the chance to crucify arcades and video games. So what if there's an evil one that's hurting children? That wouldn't be very godly.
No, it would not.
Also, I have really nothing leading up to or about this, but I did write down my attempt of a joke in the outline. It was Satanic.
Hold on. My favorite part about jokes is there being no lead up to them at all, and it's just the punchline.
Well, I wrote Satanic Panic at the arcade instead of Panic at the Disco.
God damn it, Tyler.
See, it's right there. I definitely wrote that down.
I love how that you were like, this is gonna be enough.
I probably wouldn't condemn you as much if it just like popped into your head, but the fact that you like
I wrote it
preemptively
down. Yeah.
And there was no setup to it because you were like, it wasn't like Panic at the Disco, more like Satanic Panic at the arcade.
I feel like that would be infinitely worse.
But
you just said Satanic Panic at the arcade.
You know, like Panic at the Disco.
Why is no one laughing?
I didn't expect a single laugh out of that, but I remember it popping in my head and going like, I gotta write that shit down.
My magnum opus.
I always pronounce it magnum opus.
It is pronounced both ways.
Oh, interesting. So, after all of the bullshit about Polybius, it's really easy to see how this environment was ripe for conspiracy theories. People getting mysteriously sick. FBI agents are lurking around every fucking corner. They're taking arcade machines and bringing them back modified. People are going into arcades and being tracked down and arrested by police because of what the FBI was tracking. And then societal, political, and technological changes were moving at breakneck speeds. This was the fucking 80s. Everyone was on coke, dude. Everything was moving fast.
It's just so clear, I don't think magnum opus is actually the way you would say that at all.
It doesn't sound correct.
It doesn't
at
sound...
all. Magnum
regardless
opus
of it
sounds...
sounding correct or incorrect, it just doesn't sound good. You know?
It sounds like if you would go back in time, that you would hear someone say, go, is that how you guys are saying it? Because that's not how I'm saying it. You guys are wrong. Yeah, magnum opus is usually how it's said.
All right, cool. Glad. Satanic Panic at the arcade, my magnum opus.
Yeah, your magnum opus.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun researching Polybius, but it did not go down the route that I thought it would.
See, here's the thing. What's more interesting is I was like, I think magic is stupid, and I don't believe that. And it's in my only experience with this was through that short, and in that they were like, oh, it's like there's a demon inside of an arcade cabinet, and that's where I thought this was going to go.
Yeah, no, that's not what it.
Yeah, so it's clearly a lot closer to the Satanic Panic that that people based around it. And I was like, oh, that's a lot more interesting than.
It sure is. If you think that's interesting, you should play the game Pony Island. I swear to God.
Is there a demon in Pony Island?
Sure is.
What does that mean?
It's one of those games that starts like, oh, this is like kind of a weird game. Like, it doesn't seem like a horror game. It's a little weird, but whatever. And then it slowly transitions into being like Doki Doki Literature Club stuff.
I was about to say, it sounds very, very Doki Doki.
Yeah.
Is it like the Blue Whale Russian website?
Oh, shit. I feel like I should know what that is.
I feel like it was a couple years ago, but effectively it was like a children's website, but it was actually run by like a serial killer, and so.
Dude, there's a side quest in Cyberpunk that's like that.
Yeah, so maybe I'm adding a little bit to the story that wasn't there, but the way I understood it was like a game you would play as a kid, and it would be like, collect all the things, but then eventually you would start doing like out of game stuff, and it'd be like, go downstairs and grab a mug and bring it to the desk, but it always ended with, at the end of the game, it was like, turn the gas on your stove and go to bed. And so people's houses were just like burning down because the kids were turning.
Wow, Jesus!
What the fuck?
God, I need to look into it. There is a game produced by and for Kanye West that has a twist like that. That is real, and it has been taken down from the internet. But it was like, if you submit to this, by sending us like your address and your full name and your social security number. Like it was hidden in the code.
I remember hearing about this.
Then you have submitted all of your belongings and your life to us. You will become part of us. We will contact you when the time is right. And it was like, hold on, I'm sorry, what? I think it was Kanye. It might not have been Kanye.
It was Kanye.
It was Kanye.
I remember that specifically.
So I'm sorry. Was it like, oh, Kanye West did this, or someone made a game for Kanye West, and there was like weird hidden things inside of it?
He produced it, meaning basically he funded it. But it was shit. It was weird shit hidden inside a game. Otherwise, just being a shitty game about Kanye West.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. I'll have to look into that.
So would I have been able to see these things, or did I have to look at the code to get weird things out of it?
God,
It was like an Easter egg.
Oh,
like
it was?
apparently, yeah.
Okay.
If you did like
to, like,
certain
look for it.
tasks,
If you collected like the 27 Kanyes, then
God, it's another. God, I love ARGs, which basically this is a fancy thing for being ARGs. I want to do an episode on cicada, like
every few years they come out.
Yeah, the cicada stuff is really weird. Trying to think there was another
Wait, hold on.
thing.
There's an ARG for. I was joking, but you just continued with that.
Yeah. Do you know what cicada is? It's cicada like 2113 or something. I forget what the number is.
Like the things that make a lot of noise.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's what a cicada is. But this is an ARG where like these really hard puzzles are released, and then people will solve it, and then supposedly people are being like contacted by groups that like are saying they're from cicada and stuff. It's wild. I'll have to do a cicada episode. It's crazy.
They're from cicada. They're like the noisy things are contacting you.
It's just called cicada, dude.
What? Why? You said from.
Yeah, from the people who made the game,
For some-
dumbass.
I thought yeah, okay, that makes more sense. I thought you were like, they're from the country of cicada. And I'm like, is it like the new Wakanda?
This is Sokovia.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun researching Polybius. I made that really good Panic at the Disco joke.
Dude,
it
it was. I'm still thrown off because that photo you have is not the photo that I would immediately see if I looked up.
Really, that was the one that kept coming up in like the articles I was looking at.
Let me.
But all the pictures, like actual cryptids and anomalous objects, are just like,
Yeah.
it's a fucking god awful picture.
Okay, hold on.
You might be seeing the one that was the replica that was made.
I could have been. It's interesting how when I typed in Polybius, it was like, here's a Y.
Yeah, it's spelled Polybius.
Yeah. For some reason, this entire time I've been like, it's an I.
No.
Why are you being mean to me? Why
you're
are you being mean over here? I'm just sitting over here telling you cool.
Yeah, that's the recreation cart.
Yeah, that's the one that.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's very weird because even looking at that, I'm like, that's not the one I saw.
And then you pull up the same picture and you're like, it's this one. But yeah, Polybius, like a lot of these fucking cryptids that we're just randomly choosing to talk about.
Polybius, okay. I'm not gonna lie. Polybius.
You okay?
Polybius.
I don't want this episode just to devolve into you two just being on your phone saying like
The same word over and over again.
Polybius.
Polybius.
I've been trying to wrap it up
Polybius.
for like 5 minutes and
No.
you guys are just like, there's not an I in this?
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was Poli, and then I was like, yeah, that's why I'm pronouncing the Y so hard. And then I realized, oh wait,
Polybius.
you guys are pronouncing an I that's in the word that I didn't even know.
Yeah, because if it's spelled this way with the Y, it makes more sense to say it how you're saying it. But then you're like, you're saying it wrong, dumbass. There's an I. You need to pronounce the I like a Y. And I'm like, it is a Y.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This entire time I was like, I don't know what this word is, and I am just, here's what happened. The Mandela Effect. I've lived my life where it was all eyes.
Thanks for joining us for this bullshit. Hopefully
Maybe
Jeremy
that's
learns
where
how to spell.
Maybe that's where it's sometimes Y, because Y isn't a vowel.
Oh my
in
god, cut
alternate
this episode
universe.
immediately.